If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
And we welcome Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, for a few moments this morning. And Dr. Segars, we talked about this time last week, but a lot of things have changed in the last week too. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and yes, sir, things change every day.
Talk a little bit about where we are today with our Sylacauga City School System.
Well, I'll start with Indian Valley. That is our the last school that has students in the classroom today, and on Monday they'll go remote. All of our other schools are now remote, and we're heading into the Christmas holiday like that, with children continuing to learn from today all the way through next Friday, but then we're going to give them a break. Bring them back on January 5th. The teachers will come back on the 4th. Students will come back on the 5th as it stands right now.
Explain remote learning.
Well, remote learning can happen in a lot of different ways. The two methods that we use are called blended, where you have an actual teacher who is in front of you on a camera, some type of device, and you're listening and interacting with that teacher. A lot of times that happens at the regularly scheduled class time for the older kids. For the younger kids, sometimes it happens in the evening, 6 or 7 o'clock at night, because they need more individual attention. The other method we use is a true virtual platform where you're handed a curriculum, you're handed a schedule, there is no teacher. You follow the menu and you just have a monitor, somebody that checks in periodically and makes sure you're staying on task and that you're keeping the pace with the course. Our virtual platform allows us to open and close modules and tests and quizzes based on when you're ready, or if you're not ready, we don't open the next section. But that's the two ways we do it.
Yeah, Zach, as you know, is our grandson. He's in the 5th grade at Pinecrest, and he got a call from his teacher yesterday, and you talk about putting a smile on a child's face.
Yeah.
That does it.
It does, and we've asked a lot of our teachers to maintain contact with children. I know my daughter loves it. Zach loves it when the teacher calls or gets on the video with them and encourages them to keep learning. And you know, most of our students have responded well to that.
Let's talk about who is affected, who has been infected with this virus in the Sylacauga City School System.
Okay, that's certainly one that we've talked about a lot this week. The numbers that I ran yesterday afternoon, and I run these things constantly, 99 of our employees have been affected in some way by COVID since March. Now, on November 30th, I reported to our board that we had had 71 employees affected. So between the 30th of November and today, we've grown from 71 to 99. So you can just see the impact that Thanksgiving had on us. But that doesn't mean that everybody's had COVID. They've just been in contact with or had a family member with. But we drew that number up, showing that these are the number of employees that have lost work time because of COVID.
Yeah. So how do we try to overcome, the lack of teachers that we have in the classrooms?
Well, and of course, here recently we couldn't overcome it, so we had to go remote. I mean, once you lose, you lose 6 to 8 teachers in a single school, you're overwhelmed. Another factor that we looked at was it started to affect our support staff. Our custodians, our child nutrition experts. When those people start to have to go home, now you can't do the basic functions outside of the classroom, and you have no choice but to close the schools.
So we have Indian Valley, their final day is today.
Today, that's correct. And everybody else is already home.
So, Dr. Segars, look at this big picture as this is not only affecting our children, our teachers, but it's affecting the outer ring of this, including bus drivers and custodians and people like that. How do we do that?
Well, nobody's invincible. Everybody stands the same amount of risk, I guess, of getting this virus. Although that some people it just affects more than others. We've had people that have had COVID and had very few symptoms or no symptoms, and they have to stay their time at home in quarantine or isolation. and they come back and everything's okay. But yes, you just cannot, you cannot replace bus drivers. You cannot replace child nutrition experts. You can put substitutes in a classroom for a short period of time, but even with substitutes, and we have 62 folks in this community that substitute teach for us. Even with that, you cannot sustain that very long. You've got to have that trained teacher in the classroom. So, like I said earlier, you just quickly get overwhelmed and you can't keep the school going.
With the holiday season here, and certainly we appreciate Dr. Segars being here, I cannot imagine the load that they're carrying right now, but I appreciate taking a couple moments to be here with us again this morning. With the holiday season here, and teachers and bus drivers and custodians, we got holidays, we got Christmas, gift buying. Mm-hmm. Does everybody get paid?
Everybody does, and we're very proud of the fact that to date we have not laid off a single person. We have 272 full-time regular employees, and then we have many other people that support us. So our workforce is 300 strong on any given day, and they continue to get paid. Their pay is based on a number of days in a contract for a school year. And we will continue to have that number of days. Now, some things may happen where school years get extended or they start late like we did this year, but the state requires that we work, for teachers, it's 187 days a year. Teachers will get their full 187 days unless, of course, the governor issues a state of emergency that gives us relief, but they'll work the 187 days and they'll get paid for those days.
What about the extracurricular activities? Is that off the table now?
It's not off the table. Okay. And we're working hard right now to keep those things on the plate. We've revised our basketball schedules based on what teams can play us, and do we have athletes available to play. But what we've looked at is playing those regional games that count towards playoffs, and cancel the other games as we can. I know that puts other teams in binds and other coaches, but everybody's working the same thing right now, is what do we need to do to make the playoffs? It's kind of like what you see is going on in college sports right now, college football. We're doing the same things, and we're continuing to play basketball at both the high school, although we're not going to have another game until the 18th now, and we're continuing to play at the middle school. And in fact, tomorrow, Saturday, we have a virtual band concert at the middle school. So I told our folks, as long as we can do it safely, and of course you're not going to be able to invite people to come into the auditorium or the gym to watch you, but you can do it virtually, and we'll continue to do those things. The kids need it. The adults need it.
Yeah. How concerned are you, Dr. Segars, the disconnect here?
The disconnect on the education end?
Yeah. We're not necessarily that, but with the students as well, the disconnect there. They're out of school, and we've been up and down this year.
I'm, of course, very concerned, like everybody else is, and we've looked at the research on it, and know that human beings need personal interaction, and children to grow and to learn need personal interaction. So we have done everything in our power to keep the schools open, keep children coming to school, keep a certified, well-trained teacher in front of them the best we can. It's real easy to say, just close the schools and go home because there's a problem, we're scared, we're concerned. The hard thing is figuring out how to keep the school open. And that's what I told our staff is work on keeping the school open, not figuring out how to close it. And it doesn't always work, but that's the only way we're going to get through this and maintain the education level that we went into this with.
That's why you make the big bucks.
Well, I can tell you that the decisions are huge, and I certainly appreciate our school board. We have medical professionals on our school board that advise me every day, and you can't put a value on that. But even those people that work in the medical profession every single day sometimes say, I don't know. We just have to make our best call and hope that things work out in our favor. Yeah. Hope is never a method, but when you don't have the facts, sometimes you have to, you have to use your best judgment, and it is tough. It's hard to do.
Let's talk about some good news this morning.
Okay, let's do.
Everybody needs some good news.
Yeah.
And boy, a great honor for our nutrition program here in Sylacauga.
I tell you what, you cannot say enough about what those folks do. We have some new people on our staff. We have some people that have recently retired. But it was nice at our last board meeting to honor them, and present a plaque from the state superintendent for their efforts during the pandemic. Of course,
that's big news.
Of course, I told him, I said, you got to keep those plaques coming. I mean, but it's just wonderful the things they do. They're in our kitchens now, cleaning out and getting ready for January. But they've had their share of COVID too. They've been affected by it as well. So you can't replace them. There are no substitutes for child nutrition. You just don't.
All those weeks and months back during the summer when we were providing lunches and breakfasts for those kids, we're providing meals for them even now.
We are, and we're doing it out of one kitchen now. So any child 18 years of age or younger can come get a meal at Indian Valley. They just need to go on our website and ask for that meal, so we make sure we have enough prepared. But come by and pick that up at lunch every day, and that program keeps going, and it will keep going.
Speak encouragement to parents and grandparents watching this morning, and their schedules are topsy-turvy anyway. And now with their kids at home, it's even more with the holiday season here and the busyness of it all. Speak some encouragement to them today as to how they can help their children and their grandchildren during this time.
Well, first of all, we pray for every family in our community, and certainly those at home attempting to teach children. Some of you are very good at it. Some of us need some help, and I need some help at my house.
I'm at the head of the line on that.
Well, I have to call in some favors on some great teachers sometimes with a phone call, but we get it done. But things like continuing to read with your children, especially those young ones, is always helpful. And continuing to encourage your children, making sure that they stay on some sort of time schedule, and that they're maintaining contact with their teachers. Those things are all helpful, but anything you can do at home to promote education, as simple as it may seem sometimes, but keep the children engaged in learning. We have all the resources in the world. All you have to do is ask us. We can give them to you on computer. We can give them to you hard copy. We can create some resources if you need them. So we just encourage you to keep doing that through the holidays. I've asked my daughter's teachers, just give us the work, and let us look at it during the Christmas holiday when we don't have things to do, and then come back in January, and we'll just be better prepared. I can't, we can't do everything, but we can keep children engaged, and our teachers and our staff will continue to be engaged as well.
And on the reverse side of this, parents and grandparents, we can encourage our educators as well. They need encouraging.
Please keep encouraging them. They have gone way beyond the call of duty. We can't say enough about what people have done, and that's teachers in the classroom, that's our support staff, that's our administrators, everyone. You just can't measure the value of what people have done here since March. And they always do great work, but they have really stepped up here, and will continue to.
We're scheduled to reconvene in our classes on January the 5th. Dr. Segars, several systems have already announced that they're going to push into late January before they bring their students back to the classroom. And, today is 12th, I think it is, or maybe 13th, whatever it is, but that's a long time from now until January 5th. A lot of things can happen almost moment to moment.
That's right, and we don't want to make a decision too early. We are watching some of these other systems and talking with those superintendents on how they made their decisions. We're leaving those options open. We're going to watch the data. We're going to listen to the healthcare experts. And as things happen during Christmas and we get closer to January, it's not hard to push back the start date. We can do that, and we may still, but you've got to put a date on the calendar and say, this is when we're coming to school unless something happens. And if we can get them back in there on the 5th of January, this fall semester is not over yet. It doesn't end until the 15th of January because of the strange schedule we're under this year. So we need to get children back in the classroom and end this semester strong. If we can't do it, we can't do it. We'll continue to push it. But I don't want to push this school year into the summer if we don't have to.
Okay. Finally, this morning, Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, with us for another minute or two. Let's face it, our children's education, our children's livelihood is at risk here. And we got to do everything we can and even beyond to make sure that there's a better tomorrow than there is this morning.
Right, and it's the balancing act of what's safe, and then what risk can you take, and we don't like to be risky, but sometimes you have to calculate those risks to bring students back in the classroom. But we do not want our children to get behind. It will take us at this point years to catch up. We don't want that to turn into decades. So everything we can do now is going to make tomorrow even better. And
I have noticed a little more graying of the hair in recent months.
I'm going to have to get some of that solution you put in your hair to keep it dark, I guess, because it's a great point that the stress level on everybody, including me, is high, and because we just don't know what to do next, and you just have to wait for the data. So I won't tell you that I'm not stressed. I am, but we're always concerned about the education of our children and certainly the health of this community. So those things are heavy on our shoulders.
All right. Thanks for dropping by this morning.
Yes, sir.
And Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning. More Daybreak after this.